So some of you may have noticed I've been watching the X-Men movies, the Fox X-Men films, right? We don't have any Marvel MCU X-Men movies yet. Maybe one day, who knows? But right now we have the Fox films, which I've always been a really big fan of. When I was a kid, I loved the X-Men. Part of the reason I loved them was that they were outcasts. This wasn't Superman or Batman going out there and fighting the bad guy. This was a different class of human being. They were what we would one day become, but we weren't there yet. So they had their own culture, they had their own society, and they were hated and despised and feared by a society they've sworn to protect, as Stanley said in the introduction. So if you're going to adapt that into a movie, how are you going to do that? Luckily, we got Bryan Singer, who latched on to some of the key DNA in the series, and he used the message of X Men to say something very unique about identity. It's very clear that what he's doing, well, let's stop there for a second. What Stan and Jack did was they used the mutants as an allegory for race relations, and it worked perfectly. When you use the method, and not the method, but the message of the comic, correctly, it works wonderfully. X Men sings when you use it correctly. When you don't, it falls flat. If you think of the X Men like the Avengers, you're losing it. You're missing the point. However, Bryan Singer had it based on a sexual identity. There's a wonderful line in, I think, the second film where Bobby Drake is meeting his parents and he comes out as a mutant, as it were. And his mother says, "Have you tried not being a mutant?" Some may say it's ham fisted. I think it's beautiful. The first X Men film, poetry, pure poetry. You have to have all the X Men adventures, the good ones, are reactions to mutant terrorists. They're reactions to something that could make the X Men or the mutant people extinct. They are not going out to stop world conquering despots, although that does happen from time to time. The good stories are about threats to the X Men. In this case, Magneto is looking to attack the free world and, in the name of mutant kind, attack humanity because they are superior, whereas Professor X wants to live in harmony. It's a wonderful story, and they tell it very well. It's very tricky to take a comic book and turn it into a feature film because you have to make all the creative decisions that the comic book makers made and apply them to a new medium. And Singer did that in a really, really clever way. And that spawned so many movies that maybe I'll talk about. The cast is perfect. Hugh Jackman, I was on the fence about. I was reading a lot about this movie before it came out, and I was on the fence about Hugh Jackman playing Wolverine because I loved Wolverine. Of course, everyone loves Wolverine, but whew, man, was I wrong. I love being wrong sometimes. At the time I thought, a guy with like a pedigree of that Hugh Jackman has playing a tough guy like Wolverine, he embodies the part in ways that make it really, 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 really difficult to envision anyone else ever playing Wolverine. But we're gonna get another one soon. And the rest of the cast is also very good too. Um, and the plot is fantastic. It's a little chintzy here and there, but I can excuse it because this was still, we have to remember, early days for comic book movies. They hadn't figured out how to do big bombastic endings. So having their ending be a battle on Liberty Island, some people say it looks cheap. I say it looks fine considering that it was 2000. The CGI ages very well. The action sequences work very well, and the plot holds together. So, if you have some time and you want to kick back, this is on Disney Plus, and you may actually, you can actually buy the movie and watch it on a disc in a little tray that comes out of a box under your TV. That's what I like to do. But I don't know. That's my 25 cents on the X Men. Um, Any thoughts, please post below. Thank you.